My name is Gerhard, responsible for the Supply Chain Center of Excellence and try to improve our maturity in the supply chain, right? I'm together with Adnan. Maybe a short introduction from your side.
Yeah. So hello and welcome. Good morning. I'm the yin and the yang. So yeah, this is who we are. So Gerhard is of course responsible for a lot of things, but also deploying O9 in the organization, and I am his counterpart for receiving it. So a lot of my team is already working with his team, with the project team, to actually deploy it. But in the end, we are the ones who are running the supply chain. So we are fully participating. We are fully active in actually receiving the product. So that's my job. Yeah, over to you.
So very easy to me, right? I just need to deliver with support of Ivona the project, and he need to deliver the benefits of it. Just emphasize again what we heard already in the morning from Chakri, right? What we're all doing here together in supply chain is balancing service level with cost and with cash and inventory, right? That's what we are doing. We all have the same issues currently with continuously external and internal supply chain interruptions, all of us. There is no difference, right? And this together with a volatile market. We also heard in the morning that we need to take care on sustainability. There are a lot of legislation, especially in Europe, but around the world, that we need to consider in our optimization journey. For us, it's absolutely clear that we cannot do this with our silo planning that we did in the past, right? You have no chance to do this. That's also what I want to show, how our network looks with a very simple view, right? So we are delivering roughly 130,000 SKUs per year to our customers. The customers are around the world in all regions, more than 100 countries and more than roughly 10,000 different customers, right? The challenging is, like for all of you, right, that the demand that we have on the customer side and the expectations from our customers are very different in comparison to our supply. We are supplying raw material. We are producing also our own raw material by doing mining. And we are talking here about 800 different suppliers that we still need. Also, we are quite vertical integrated and more than 3,600 different raw materials that we are using, right? So very complex. And the market on the supplier side, it's very different. If you only look to the lead times that we are facing, if you are in the mining business, right, you have lead times up to 4 months, sometimes longer. Our customers on the other side are demanding our products partly with lead times of 1 week. And we have a global network. We have in the middle 67 production sites who are producing this. So it's a very challenging for us to synchronize these different markets and the demand and the supply markets that we have. So for us, an integrated end-to-end planning is essential to optimize.
One of the key challenges that RHI Magnesita, so RHI Magnesita is actually itself a merger of RHI and Magnesita, which are Austrian and Brazilian. So these two companies, when they came together, we basically are a family of mergers and acquisitions, right? So this is how we are growing. And what we felt was that we need a tool which can help us continuously onboard more and more businesses, more and more plants, faster and faster, and we can continue to grow with that. So that's exactly the kind of psyche we brought into selecting this tool. And we went with the typical process of actually looking at, all the tools. We used Gartner for advice. Pia is in the crowd, so we spend a lot of time with Pia, understanding how these tools are different from each other, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses. We then went into a very complex internal voting mechanism, which we defined for ourselves. But you can see some of the snapshots over here. We decided that, together, a bit of a democracy, but we also gave some, sort of veto rights to some of the people. And then eventually we concluded, not just based on like or dislike, but actually real data behind it. And we came out with O9. Of course, you can talk about personal preferences and everything, but the gentlemen who are standing in front of you, we both felt we won. We won the argument. And we won not from the perspective that this was a personal like or dislike, but also because it was backed with facts.
Absolutely. And you can imagine if you are a company who is using already SAP as ERP environment with the IT guys, it was not an easy journey and a decision. But you saw it here, we had more than 60 people involved from all the different areas, right? In order to have as much as possible objective decision. What we are implementing, right? And let me show you the typical silo planning you have in a supply chain. If you look on the different also horizons, right? The operational part and the tactical part on top of it. How we did this is very simple. In silos with hell of Excel files, in some areas we had already very matured tools for statistical forecasting as an example, but the whole optimization was in silos. There was no chance to do end-to-end optimization. Most important, the silos were not connected together. Of course, we connected them manually via Excel download, Excel upload, and we want to cover all those areas with O9. You will see it later where we are at the moment, right? But this is our strategy. We don't, we will not use O9 for all the topics, right? So sales order creation is typically an ERP responsibility. We implemented also a transport management system from Oracle. We have for operational procurement Ariba and MetalSub and so on. So we have quite a complex landscape. Some of them we think we don't need to substitute by O9, right? At least not at the moment. But the key point from us here is that we have one integrated system that allows us to do end-to-end optimization with this nice knowledge graph from O9 that is exactly allowing us and preparing us for the future.
This part is about 79 planners doing different Excel sheets in different parts of the world in different time zones, right? And you can also imagine everybody how they own that Excel sheet, right? It's my Excel sheet. This is my number, right? And how accurate those Excel sheets are whenever they're being connected to each other, right? Now, this is predominantly the environment we are still living in. I mean, we have, of course, deployed it in some regions and everything, but the model that we are going to, or the model that we want to go to, is essentially as much of a change mechanism as much as it's a software deployment as it's a software transition, because it's also about changing a tremendous amount of habits. We're going against a lot of change, a lot of inertia in the organization, which knows how to do things. This is how we have done it for 20 years. Yeah, from there to a completely new environment where nobody's owning any Excel sheet, where everything is in the system.
Now talking a bit about our implementation approach. We heard the whole day already about AI and all these super nice functions. We also know that we need at first to start to crawl and walk. And most of the companies I talked so far, we are far away from deploying all these options that we will have. But that's the only chance we have, and we need to go this way, right? If we are talking about crawling, walking, running, we are partly running already, right? So we started the implementation in North America, and we started with demand planning. We are using already statistical forecasting with AI and machine learning, right? In order to give the perfect input already for the sales guys so that they only need to bring their added value from the market where they think they have an added value to do. In other areas, we are still crawling, right? So we started after NAM implementation where we already implemented demand planning, including statistics, supply planning, order promising, replenishment planning, right? It's already quite a lot. And you can imagine we touched only now in our journey already 700 different users that we had to train and prepare for this journey. We started also in parallel now, after a time period where we developed the basic functionality to implement it in Europe. So we are quite in front. In the next weeks, we will go for the next business release in Europe, where we then have the same functionality deployed. And in September, we are starting in India. We are fully aware some of the flying functionality, like we heard today with AI, or with tactical network optimization, or with multi-echelon inventory optimization, which is available in the tool already now, right? But it takes time till we as an organization are ready to deploy it.
Let's talk a little bit about why are we doing this. When we started explaining this to our organization of why we needed an advanced planning solution, the first thing was, yeah, what difference is it going to make? You're just going to move from one Excel to another Excel, which is more automated. Essentially, it was also about building that business case to actually explain to them that how we are able to increase the speed of our process to actually make decision making easy. And the benefit was inventory optimization. Now, what you see on the screen is actually 90% of that is already delivered. And so we projected a certain inventory optimization back in 2022 because of the experience that we were going through. We were going through a very vicious bullwhip effect from COVID. And with our, like I said, the merger and acquisition going through very strongly, we were dealing with a complex inventory problem that we could not resolve by just focusing on our Excel sheets. The concept is not that O9 actually solved this. The concept is by doing the O9 deployment, which we call the Project Everest for ourselves, by doing those discussions, by setting up those process-oriented conversations, we were actually able to reduce, the inventory impact in the organization. And that's exactly why we want to continue focusing on the transformation and talk less about the tool, the limitations of the tool or the expectations from the tool or what the tool can do for you, stuff like this. Instead, we are focusing on what this whole transformation is about. And inventory output is one part of it. The change of habits is another part of it. Changing the organization accordingly to support this transformation is yeah, let's say the bigger part of the foundation that we are putting in.
We have roughly, even on level 4 processes, we added roughly 20% new processes with this implementation of O9. We heard post-game analysis, we had consensus meetings, right? All those things we're implementing, and therefore we are talking about the transformation, not only implementing a tool, right? That's very important to understand. But let's also talk about our experience that we have so far. So before we going into some of the details, key for success is the partnership within the tool provider, within the implementation partner, and within our own company. You will have in this journey, and we are almost now 2 years on this journey, you will have highlights and lowlights. Sometimes they are hurting a lot, right? But you can only solve it together. And I think this is one of the spirit that we have with our partners, that even in the hard times, we are going together through it and not doing finger pointing and try to solve the problems together. If we talk about challenges, everybody's talking about this, right? Change management, people training. I told you, right? Only in NAM we had almost 700 people to train. All the sales guys, all the supply planner, and so on. So, and this is a lot of change. There are Excel files that Adnan explained to us. They love them. They know how to deal with the Excel files, right? We started to thought we can do change management with a global team. We had 3 external partners and 1.5 internal. We simply failed, right? People did not accept it. We had to do retraining. We had to fly to NAM again and so on. And now we changed the setup. We still have a global change management team who is coordinating, but a very strong region who are much closer to our internal customers, to the people who have to use the tool, right? And this is bringing the first successes. We heard about data. Guys, data is amazing. By the way, also in the transformation from SAP ECC into S/4HANA, which also makes not the life easier, I would say. You can imagine what this means for an organization. And our data structure in ECC cover all the requirements we have. For some product groups, the biggest one, we did not have real SKU. Right, we had SKU, but there was not packaging and all this stuff was not included, so we could not do stock pooling in our warehouses and so on. To bring the right data quality on master data, but also transactional data, is a huge effort.
I think the numbers on the what you see on the right hand side of your screen, I think they're undersold in all these sessions, right? I mean, the 60% people is actually the 85% people. I mean, that's all there is. That's what we do every day. That's what Ivona was doing even this morning, right? I mean, that's all we spend time on, because everybody in our team, everybody in the organization, everybody in FSO, everybody in O9, they know their job. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do. It's about how we get them all together to actually deliver this common goal. That's all there is to it. So it's not even 60. I feel with my experience and everything, it's probably 85% people. This is something we are very proud of, not just as Gerhard and myself, but also as an organization, because this is how bad we were. And this is not a fictional number. This is actually publicly declared. We are a public limited company, so you can find this in our quarterly summaries and everything. This is how bad we were. This is nothing short of miracle transformation, because I can also tell you that number right now is 24%. That's how much we have taken out. That's how much fat we have taken out of the organization. Now, again, to say that everything is O9 and everything is connected to this tool, no, because O9 is, as you saw from the the walk, the crawl, walk, and run picture. We are only into like 2 regions mostly, right? We have 6 of those, so there's quite a way to go. But it's the enabling part, which is what we talk about as the Everest process mapping, or the O9 process mapping, which has enabled us to get to this point. And that's the real success of this transformation, because there is no way we could have pulled this off. Yes, there was a lot of stick involved as well, because year-end objectives and all these kind of things. We made Gerhard's project, or let's say the Everest project, is part of our bonus objectives. So the whole organization is dialed into actually delivering this, because if we don't get our bonus. So that's also there, but this is not going anywhere. This is 371 million euros. Right? That's not a small number that we have taken out of the equation.
And we are far away from our targets that we want to achieve internally, right? So our motivation and inspiration is much higher if we are really deploying the tool in the whole organization, when the whole replenishment part is done optimized end-to-end via support of a tool. Maybe we can do this together, right, Adnan?
Yeah, but this is just how we track our value or the benefit generation that we do. So we have set ourselves objectives on each one of these KPIs, right? So demand planning, forecast accuracy, supply planning, shipment planning, stock pooling. All of these are the ones that are contributing to actually delivering what you saw earlier, the 81 million euros, right? So this is the component that Project Everest, or O9, is actually delivering out of that 371 million that we have already delivered, right?
Yeah.
So you can say, we know exactly what Everest or what O9 is helping us to, and we also know what is the overall equation.
Yeah. So we have 3 dimensions of targets. One is the Everest project target you saw before. The other one, those one where we expect the targets from O9. And we have a third one, the deliverables that we promise to our company, where even the CEO is depending on the bonus with that, right? So it's also a very strong commitment from our company. That's it from our side.